Karunagara Gokula Ranjana Kana
Yashomati Nandana Braja Varunagara Gokula Ranjana Kana
Yashomati Nandana Braja Varunagara Paranadana Madana Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. We have a few verses today in the 12th chapter of the 10th canto. But first, I just want to quickly read the translation of this bhajan that we just sang. I chose to sing this bhajan because it's just speaking about Krishna's sweet nectarian pastimes and all the different names of Krishna and how they have different sweet meanings, and we can relish and think about these pastimes. So let's read the translation. I hope you can hear me okay. Lord Krishna is the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the transcendental lover in the land of Vraj, the delight of Gokul, Kana, a nickname of Krishna. The wealth of the lives of the gopis, he steals the mind of even Cupid and punishes the Kaliya serpent. These pure holy names of Lord Hari are full of sweet nectarian pastimes. Krishna is the Lord of the 12 forests of Vraj. He is ever youthful and is the best of lovers. He is always playing on a flute, and he is an excellent dresser. Krishna is the protector of the inhabitants of Vraj, the destroyer of the various demonic dynasties, the keeper and tender of Nanda Maharaj's cows, giver of pleasure to the cows, land, and spiritual senses, the husband of the goddess of fortune, the butter thief, and the beautiful cowherd boy of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna wanders along the banks of the river Yamuna. He stole the garments of the young damsels of Braj who were bathing there. He delights in the mellows of the rasa dance. He is very merciful, the lover and beloved of Srimati Radharani, the great dancer of Vrindavan, and the shelter and only refuge of Thakur Bhakti Yogi. So sweet. So this morning I just wanted to, these verses are about the cowherd boys playing. And my idea for this class was just to make it a very simple, fun, light class about just hearing about Krishna, just Leela Katha. And I'm not going to give any advice because literally everyone here is my senior. So I'm not qualified to give any advice, but I can just pray to represent this sweet pastimes of Krishna. And I'll speak a little bit about why I chose to do class this way today. Because it's Kartik, and I was just thinking, what am I here for? It's a really good time to zoom out and think about, what am I chanting my rounds for? What am I waking up every morning and doing my service for? What is my goal? And it's a good time to just focus on the goal. And our goal is, what are we here for? Personally, I'm here for Krishna and Vrindavan, and I'm not shy to say it. This is just what we're here for. I hope we can all agree that Krishna and Vrindavan is the goal. So when we have an opportunity to hear and relish the pastimes of Krishna, we shouldn't shy away from this. We're in the 10th canto right now, and there's lots of philosophy and lots of things that brought us up to this point. But now we're in the 10th canto, so it's time. And like I said, His Grace Radhe Shyam Prabhu is here, so please forgive my nerves. I'm just asking for your blessings, Prabhu.
I'm just doing the second thing I read.
So I just wanted to tell a quick story why I'm not here to give advice or preach to anybody today. Because sometimes we just need a hug, and Krishna Lila is like a hug. It's just, you're just feeling enveloped in so much love, and sometimes someone's not feeling so well. You might want to give them advice, but they might just need a hug. Like a hug might not fix the problem, but it will make the pain go away. It will. Yesterday, I was walking downstairs, and just by Krishna's arrangement, I ran into His Holiness Raghunath Swami, and he didn't say a word to me. All he did was open his arms and give me a big hug. And yeah, just that one thing was way more powerful and sweet and loving, and just made such an impression on me, more so than I think anything that I could have heard in that moment. So opening the book of Srimad Bhagavatam and opening our heart to the holy names is just like opening our arms to the hug. We need a nice warm hug sometimes. Sometimes we need some philosophy, but other times we need just a big hug. And hearing about Krishna brings about all perfection. Hearing is our foremost process. I talk about this a lot. But hearing about Krishna makes you want to love, makes you want to serve, makes you want to please Krishna, the sadhus, the guru. It makes you inspired to execute 9 processes of bhakti. It makes you want to be a good person, makes you want to share about Krishna to others just by hearing. So there's no like, oh, I should really want to read, or I should really want to chant, or I should really want, just by hearing about Krishna, that will naturally come about. If you just let that lila leave an impression and let it enter your heart. And ultimately that will help us in our goal of remembering Krishna at all times. So just by hearing about, it's the end of my reasons why. I just want to get into it now. So we're reading verses 10, 12, 6 through 11. I'll chant the Sanskrit. Yadi durangata Krishno vanasobhe sobhikshanayatam aham purvam iti samsprasya remare. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sometimes Krishna would go to a somewhat distant place to see the beauty of the forest. Then all the other boys would run to accompany him, each one saying, I shall be the first to run and touch Krishna. I shall touch Krishna first. In this way, they enjoyed life by repeatedly touching Krishna. And this is verse 7 through 11. Kechivinun vadayanto ta sringani kechana kechi bringai praganata pragayanta kujanta kokilai pare vichayabi pradavanto gachanta sadhuham sakai vakir upavisantascha nityantascha kalapiti vikarshanta kishibalan arohantascha terdruman vikurvantascha taisakam lavantascha palashishu shakam beker vilangata sarita srava sampluta vihashanta pratichaya shapantascha pratisvanan itam satam brahma sukhanna bhuta utya tasyam gatanam paradai patena maya shritanam naradarakena sakam vichahi krita punya punyaha. Translation. All the boys would be differently engaged. Some boys blew their flutes, and others blew bugles made of horns. Some imitating the buzzing of the bumblebees, and others imitated the voice of the cuckoo. Some boys imitated flying birds by running after the birds' shadows on the ground. Some imitated the beautiful movements and attractive postures of swans. Some sat down with the ducks, sitting silently, and others imitated the dancing of the peacocks. Some boys attracted young monkeys in the trees. Some jumped into the trees, imitating the monkeys. Some made faces as the monkeys were accustomed to do, and others jumped from one branch to another. Some boys went to the waterfalls and crossed over the river, jumping with the frogs. And when they saw their own reflections on the water, they would laugh. They would also condemn the sounds of their own echoes. In this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is the source of the Brahman effulgence for Gyanis, desiring to merge into that effulgence, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead for devotees who have accepted eternal servitorship, and for who ordinary persons is but another ordinary child. The cowherd boys, having accumulated the results of pious activities for many lives, were able to associate in this way with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can one explain their great fortune? Purport. As recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami, Tasmat Kenapya Upayena Mana Krishna Nevasayat. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 124. Somehow or other, whether one thinks of Krishna as an ordinary human child, as the source of the Brahman effulgence, as the origin of Paramatma, or as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should concentrate one's full attention upon the lotus feet of Krishna. That is also the instruction of Bhagavad Gita 1866. Sarvadhanam parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Srimad Bhagavatam is the easiest way of directly approaching Krishna. Ishvara sadyohirid avarun tayate kritivi shushrushibish takshanat. Bhagavatam 1:1-2. Diverting even a little of one's attention towards Krishna and activities in Krishna consciousness immediately enables one to achieve the highest perfection of life. This is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. Lokasya jannato vidvams chakre satvata samhitam. Bhagavatam 1:7-6. The secret of success is unknown to people in general, and therefore Srila Vyasadeva, being compassionate toward the poor souls in this material world, especially in this age of Kali, has given us the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranama Yad Vaishnavanam Priya. Bhagavatam 12:13-18. For Vaishnavas, who are somewhat advanced, or who are fully aware of the glories of the potencies of the Lord, Srimad Bhagavatam is a beloved Vedic literature. After all, we have to change this body, tata dehantara parapti. If we do not care about Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we do not know what the next body will be. But if one adheres to these two books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, one is sure to obtain the association of Krishna in the next life. Therefore, distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world is a great welfare activity for theologians. How do you even say it? Theologians, philosophers, transcendentalists, and yogis, yoginam api sarvesham, as well as for people in general. Janma labha para pumsam ante narayana smriti. Bhagavatam 2:1-6. If we can somehow or other remember Krishna and Narayan at the end of life, our life will be successful. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Satamina Bhutale Swayam Rupagadatmaya Bhakti Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Apapadakam Shri Guru Vaisnavamscha Shri Rukam Sagrajam Sahadana Raghunatam Tam Sajiva Sadvitam Savadutam Parajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Shradam Sahadana Shri Shakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavana Jarakte Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasute Tapta Kansana Gora Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Devi Tapta Avanchakalpa Tirudhischa Kripa Sindhu Echa Patitanam Bhavani Yo Vaishnavi Yo Namo Namah Shri Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa and Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram. Please forgive me for messing that up. I'm quite nervous to be in the presence of such exalted Vaishnavas. I'll just read the translations one more time. Sometimes Krishna would go to a somewhat distant place to see the beauty of the forest. Then all the other boys would run to accompany Krishna, each one saying, I shall be the first to run and touch Krishna. I shall touch Krishna first. In this way, they enjoyed life by repeatedly touching Krishna. All the boys would be differently engaged. Some boys blew their flutes, and others blew bugles made of horn, some imitating the buzzing of the bumblebees, and others imitated the voice of the cuckoo. Some boys imitated the flying birds by running after the birds' shadows on the ground, and some imitated the beautiful movements and attractive postures of the swans. Some sat down with the ducks, sitting silently, and others imitated the dancing of the peacocks. Some boys attracted young monkeys in the trees. Some jumped into the trees, imitating the monkeys. Some made faces of the monkeys were accustomed to do, and others jumped from one branch to another. Some boys went to the waterfalls and crossed over the river, jumping with the frogs. And when they saw their own reflections on the water, they would laugh. They would also condemn the sound of their own echoes. In this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who was the source of the Brahman effulgence for the Gyanis, desiring to merge into that effulgence, who is the supreme personality of Godhead for devotees who have accepted eternal servitorship, and who for ordinary persons is but another ordinary child. The cowherd boys, having accumulated the results of pious activities from many lives, were able to associate in this way with the supreme personality of Godhead. How can one explain their great fortune? So this is what they do in Vrindavan. This is what the cowherd boys. We're just reading about. This is Krishna's childhood pastimes. The title of this chapter is "The Killing of the Demon Aghasura." And so the way that this chapter begins is Krishna wanted to enjoy a picnic in the forest. And so there was this demon that came. But before that, there is a description of what he would do with the gopas. And it's just very nice to meditate on. Just visualize the gargoyles and Krishna, how fun and free and beautiful and innocent and pure and sweet this pastime is. I need to read a little bit of this section from Gopal Champu, which is a book by Srila Jiva Goswami. And it's his elaboration on the pastimes of Vrindavan. Two, three things. As on previous days in the early morning, Madhukanta began speaking with enthusiasm. So Krishna woke up and he was very excited for the day. If you remember, I don't know, it's probably far removed from our memories, but I know a lot of people wish that we could go back to our childhood where every day was just, kids they'd wake up at like 6 and they were so excited for the day. They see the world in such bright colors and they're just, everything's exciting, everything is fresh and new. And that's what every day is like for Krishna and being with Krishna in the spiritual world. So he wakes up with his enthusiasm and he's like, I want to have a picnic today with my friends. So playing joyously as previously, Krishna and Balaram, killers of demons, finished their Komara period. The white and black complexioned boys, desiring the Poganda period, made even the hearts of sages unsteady by their boyish fickleness. They learned all the sweet arts necessary for performing various pastimes. In this way, the two played, spreading nectar everywhere in the form of the flute music. One time, waking up very early in the morning, the brother of Balaram, the sole protector of the universe, developed a desire by chance. Today, we should have our morning meal in the forest. Finishing his morning duties, he asked his mother to allow this. Of course, he has to get permission from Mother Yashoda. Pleasing his mother by his actions, he went out with her permission, and with the sound of his buffalo horn, woke up his friends and Balaram. Going quickly and sitting at the crossroads, waiting for his friends for a few moments, he looked around. Rising from bed, his friends came running and gathered together. Krishna was waiting, expecting Balaram to arrive in a few moments. When Balaram's servants came, they spoke to Krishna. The servant related the message spoken by Balaram. Oh, my brother Krishna, though I want to play with you, something has suddenly come up to prevent me. My maternal uncle of the Puru dynasty has come to see me on some surprising business. If he remains here, fixed like a tree in the room. I know that you got up early with a special desire. Please fulfill your desire for pastimes. If some obstacle arises at the beginning of a new activity, it will prevent the action from bearing fruit. So he's saying, Balaram can't come because his uncle is on some surprising business. She says, but go ahead and have this fun without me. On hearing the words of the servant, Krishna, whose lotus eyes stretched to his ears, desiring to play, said to his friends, quickly have your lunch packets containing suitable food tied with a string, prepared for sending to the forest. Our mothers will also send us food through some proper persons. Making beneficial arrangements for well-wishing friends, generous Krishna, leading the deer calves, entered the forest. It is said that thousands and thousands of young boys went with Krishna to herd the calves. It is said that there were 10,000, a million, or 10 million boys. And the number of calves that Krishna herded was also unlimited. When Krishna started for the forest, 1 million horns and flutes resounded and 1 million calves cried out, mixed with the boys shouting. Thus Krishna playfully made Balaram's heart and the whole world tremble. Though the boys were beautiful because of the jewels as they entered the forest, they ornamented their bodies with fruits and buds from the trees and used a multitude of glass beads brought in the packets from their houses after much pleading. Absorbed in playing, they did not consider that one thing was better than another. Only the miser, thinking of expense, sees with a critical eye. The carefree person, not considering expense, becomes joyful with what is pleasing. Placing the food packets on the tree branches, they became absorbed in moving here and there as they played, while Krishna glanced about. This is verse 5 from this chapter, quoted. All the cowherd boys used to steal one another's lunch bags. When a boy came to understand that his bag had been taken away, the other boys would throw it farther away, to a more distant place, and those standing there would throw it still farther. When the proprietor of the bag became disappointed, the other boys would laugh. The proprietor would cry, and then the bag would be returned. I'm just going to repeat that. All the cowherd boys used to steal one another's lunch bags. When a boy came to understand that his bag had been taken away, all the other boys would throw it farther away, to a more distant place, and those standing there would throw it still farther. When the proprietor of the bag became disappointed, the other boys would laugh. The proprietor would then cry, and then the bag would be returned. They stole each other. So that's verse 5 in this chapter. And Srila Jiva Goswami continues, they stole each other's sticks, flutes, and lunches. Considering it their own, they would throw the item far away. They would then bring the item back and offer it. They all engaged in suitable actions by the quick movements of Krishna's brow at every second and knew nothing else. Just as they enjoyed bliss only by being with Krishna, even in separation, they became blissful. Sometimes Krishna would go to a somewhat distant place, I just read this one first, and see the beauty of the forest. Then the other boys would run to accompany him, each one saying, I shall be the first one to touch Krishna. I shall touch Krishna first. In this way, they enjoyed life by repeatedly touching Krishna. The meaning of this is explained. They touched him. Krishna sent all, it says the meaning is explained. They touched him. Krishna sent all the boys ahead to look for the calves, and then went far off to see the beauty of the forest. They could not see him, but they ran towards him, attracted by his fragrance, as bees are attracted to the flowers, saying, I will catch him first. Having such pride, they felt great bliss. They played. Though the boys were pure, they displayed pride to give pleasure to Krishna. By playing the flute, some boys indicated that they would hide an object. Others blew their horns and made Krishna laugh. Others, considering the horns to have a vulgar sound, rejected those sounds and made sounds like bees and cuckoos. Speed is an object of praise for cowherds, whereas singing is the occupation of sannyasis. Thus, some boys, thinking in this way, ran after the shadow of birds. Thinking they were superior because of being able to imitate various birds, some boys walked among the swans, cranes, and peacocks. And the Srimad Bhagavatam says that they're imitating their beautiful movements and postures. Others, in order to show their knowledge of making bamboo puppets, joyfully moved among the branches with the monkeys. All the youngest boys were engaged in satisfying Krishna. Some boys went to the waterfalls and crossed over the river, jumping with the frogs, and when they saw their own reflections in the water, they laughed. Laughing and playing, they satisfied Krishna. He sent the boys to curse the echoes and imitate the reflections in the water, and obtained great joy from this. The pastimes that the boys following Krishna performed surpassed the acts of magicians and surpassed the understanding of jnanis and devotees. Sukadeva Goswami has revealed this clearly. And then the next section is about the killing of Aghasura, which I won't go into. But how sweet is it? We're almost out of time, but time goes so fast when we're hearing about just the sweet innocence and the nectarian pastimes of Krishna. And I just want to make one quick point of how they're so eager to touch Krishna, so eager to play with Krishna, just not a care in the world. This is just the highest perfection. The more that you want to touch Krishna, the more that you want to associate with Krishna, in the form of his holy name, in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the form of associating with devotees, any of the processes of devotional service. The more you know him, the more you want to know him, the more you love him, and the more all perfection comes about. So I just want to, sometimes in the morning we read this book called Chanting Hare Krishna. It's a collection of quotes by Srila Prabhupada about chanting. And in the beginning, it was all about how the holy name is non-different from Krishna. And there's a book by Sachinandana Swami. It says the living name. So the holy names are really alive. And you can directly associate with Krishna in the form of the holy name. As Srila Prabhupada said, so many times he repeated, directly associating with Krishna. So when Krishna is on our tongue, we are really touching Krishna. And Krishna consciousness is just that. It's just that awareness that Krishna is with me. What if Krishna was here right now? And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of is. Krishna is there. And the question is actually, are you there? So, just by hearing these pastimes, you want to engage with Krishna. You want to run and touch Krishna. So we're at 7:55. I'll open now for any comments, questions, reflections.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, can you hear me okay? See if
Yes,
Andrea,
Prabhu.
yesterday I noticed she's saying no.
Yes.
You can hear us okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
These are amazing pastimes because it's an atmosphere saturated with loving exchanges. The very, very sweet activities, but they're meant for Krishna's pleasure, nothing selfish. Even we were speaking yesterday that stealing somebody's lunch and throwing it in this world, it's sort of like bullying, right? But in the atmosphere of devotees that love each other, even the person being teased is enjoying the affectionate teasing of his playmates, because they're all trying to do something to please Krishna and make things interesting for him. And as sweet and relishable and pure as the loving exchanges in Vrindavan between the cowherd boys or between the gopis, Krishna says, no one is more dear to me than one who preaches this message. So people sometimes say, where is Prabhupada? Right? And as far as I can understand, because of his Leela, because of what he showed, what he shows us, he's going to the dark places. The doctor goes where there's an epidemic. The fireman goes where there's a fire. And nothing pleases Krishna more. In the Christian tradition, there's a pastime Jesus is referred to as shepherd, a good shepherd. And he has 100 sheep, but one got lost. So he leaves the 99 and he goes to look for that lost one, right? So our understanding is that Srila Prabhupada is encouraging us, Lord Chaitanya is encouraging us to share what we've been given, and that will be very pleasing to Krishna. And we taste that again and again in the different activities, bringing people to the temple. Ross was bringing those people the other day. Did they get here? Yeah. And what happens? We're trying to do something to please Krishna, and people's eyes are open to something they may not have been aware of before. And because Krishna is pleased, we feel very satisfied to somehow or other give Krishna consciousness. That we're not sitting here. Sometimes there's such a nice class going on here. I feel like running out on First Avenue and grabbing somebody, come in, see this. You gotta come in here. It's so wonderful, because they're stampeding around. We were watching this man with a dog the other day, and the dog was going along First Avenue, what? What's he looking forward to? The next bowel movement, or, eating some dead animal, and it's just like we're, in this world, we're just absorbed in ridiculous and frivolous activities that lead nowhere but to death, So we want to relish Krishna consciousness, and we want to give Krishna consciousness for the pleasure of our spiritual master and Krishna.
Okay.
Maybe talk too much. Oh, where's the Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhu. You have about 1 minute.
Sorry.
No worries. I was going over. Anyone like to say something in the temple room? No? Okay, online audience? Anything?
So hard to hear. Somebody saying something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you saying something? You want to unmute yourself? No?
I had a comment of the wonderful storytelling, so thank you. These are beautiful stories to start our day with.
Oh, thank you. Is that it?
Yeah.
We have a
Angel. Thanks, Angel.
Okay.
Speak up.
I was thinking of in that last verse 11, it says this word Krita Punya Punja, and the word to word says that all these boys had accumulated the results of life after life of pious activities. The first time I ever heard that word Krita Punya Punja was in a lecture by Ainder Prabhu, and he was really emphasizing how it's just life after life of pious activities. So you may question, what does that mean? How do they reach this position? But he was expressing about the point of how it's actually our sadhana bhakti, all our practices, the japa, the services, the shravanam that we did, the kirtans, just accumulating that just leaves a strong impression in our consciousness that slowly, so we just have to show up to our sadhana every day, regularly, get that krita punya punja, so that we can finally be immersed in that consciousness of the Gopas as described here. So just that, I remember that when we recited the shloka, I was like, oh, it's this verse, krita punya punja.
Thank you. I don't know much about Sanskrit, so I always love when people kind of can dissect and get a better meaning.
I was just reminded the verse of like the cowherd boys running to touch Krishna, who can touch Krishna first, reminded me of a class I heard a long time ago by Chitta Gopi, where she was saying like we can meditate on that in the morning, when we're heading to Mangalarti and chant our japa. Like I want to touch Krishna, I want to meet Krishna, I want to see him first, like in that mood and that eagerness.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Thank you for class.
Thank you. Yeah, that eagerness to associate with Krishna, that eagerness to hear about Krishna will, like I was saying in the beginning of class, it will just make you happy. And the best preaching is a happy devotee, an inspired devotee. So my intention with this class was to make you laugh a little bit, just for pastimes, make you inspired, and make you want to run and touch Krishna. And get other people to come run along with you. As Adipurush, who always loves to highlight preaching. And so we're feeding that cycle of Shravanam Kirtanam, just by, it goes in the ear and goes out the mouth. And in that way the holy names will be spread in every town and village, like Lord Chaitanya predicted and desired. I don't know how much time we have, but you have something to say?
Krishna, thank you for your class. It made me think of like the philosophy, because one of the verses was talking about how ordinary people see him as an ordinary child, and I realized like if I fall too far to one side, like without any of the philosophy basis, then I can kind of just get into like, oh, they're playing kids games that you could see almost in this world, but that's definitely not the case, So I guess my question would be like, how can we keep that consciousness of like this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead looking over the forest, and like it's his own energy, but he's relishing that relationship even with himself. or his own energy, and would speak of all the games that he plays and things like that. Oh, so sorry.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Now you should go and touch Krishna when the curtains open.
Srila Prabhupada ki. Lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way in which we can attain pure devotional service. Bow to his lotus feet with great honor. By his grace, we
Okay.
mercy.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
My only wish is to have my consciousness purified.
Thank you,
For it's
everybody.
emanating from us.
Okay. Yeah, great class, right? Bhima Prabhu, where are you driving? Are you driving to hug Krishna? You can hug someone
Yes.
like Krishna.
Going to play in the woods.
Nice, nice. Rich, Bruce, Krishnadaya Prabhu, good seeing you all, dear devotees. Thank you for keeping your cameras on. Krishna is seeing you, Krishna is hugging you. Krishna can hug with his eyes, right? Okay, have a wonderful day. Keep your vows going strong. And see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.